Welcome back to the Stephan Show. My name is Graham, and welcome to my show, and my coffee is out of frame, and now it's back. Today we got an absolutely crazy story we gotta talk about. I was browsing Reddit the other night and came across this, and it sounded so it gets ya. Very few stories that I see on Reddit are like, oh man, but this got me. And I have to go and read this to you guys because well, the truth is stranger than fiction, okay? I'm gonna go to my computer here, and the title is, My Twin Brother Invested in Bitcoin and Became a Multimillionaire While I Invested in Silver. So right off the bat, when you see a title like that, you gotta stop whatever you're doing. I was in the middle of something really important. I'm like, cancel everything, cancel everything. Let's go and read this because gosh, what are the chances? So anyway, they go on to say, posting this on a throwaway account for obvious reasons. In 2013, my uncle passed away from pancreatic cancer. In his will, he left my twin brother and I $100,000 each. My brother and I were talking about our different investments at the time and how we were going to invest our new money. For the last decade or so, I've been a silver enthusiast, and I argued that silver was, in my opinion, the best alternative investment to stocks and bonds. He had just learned about Bitcoin and was adamant that the return could be exponential. I had vehemently why can't I say that word? Gosh. I had vehemently argued against Bitcoin, saying that it was pure speculation and that it would be a total waste of money. I was so sure that Bitcoin would crash. Well, he ended up investing about $50,000 into Bitcoin around then, when Bitcoin was $100 each for over 500 coins. I, on the other, invested most of it into stocks and about $30,000 into silver. His $50,000 Bitcoin investment, which was made within months of the same time as my $30,000 silver investment, is now worth over $10 million. My $30,000 silver investment in 2013 is now worth about $26,000, with my entire net worth below $100,000. His wealth in Bitcoin alone is more than 100 times greater than my entire net worth. He has never sold any of his Bitcoins. He has never traded them for other cryptocurrencies. His job pays him very well, so he's never had any liquidity issues. He has still 500 plus coins, and he's going to retire soon. He's planning to sell his house, travel, and live as an investor. Now, he did give me one Bitcoin, and I will not sell it. As happy as I am for him, though, it really hurts to hear about his fortune and bright future and not be jealous. I've stopped attending family events, him too, because I can't get over the overwhelming thought of, hey, you should have done what your brother did at every waking moment. It's extremely depressing. I try to be thankful for what I have, and I try to be thankful since I know so many other people in the world have it way worse, but I don't know if I'll ever get over it. The thought that if you made the same investment, you wouldn't have to work anymore always comes to me in every area of my life. I always think to myself, you wouldn't have to work or you wouldn't have money issues like this if you just invested a little into Bitcoin. This thought is especially pervasive whenever I'm at work, and it's a crushing feeling. Any advice on how to cope? Now, first of all, we gotta test some of the legitimacy with this in terms of the numbers, just to make sure this is not a made-up story. So let's first test Bitcoin price back in 2013. Bitcoin price chart. Let's see. All. And yeah, 2013, Bitcoin was trading in the low hundreds. So right off the bat, that checks off the mark there. Now let's check silver, SLV price chart. Let's see. So already he's, this seems real. And then yeah, his silver investment. Back in January of 2012, silver was trading around $29, and then at the end of 2013, was trading for about $19. So most likely, if we just meet this right in the middle here, he probably bought it around $26 an ounce, and right now it's at $21 an ounce. The thing is, silver is one of these investments that does really well when people are fearful about the economy. That's the time when silver is just mooning. But the thing is, even though silver is at its high when everyone's panicking, in reality, the best investments that do well are the stocks and the real estate that no one's buying. So that's the thing with precious metals, is that when they go up in price, everything else is on sale. That's usually not the time when you want to buy them at their peak, because everything else has just crashed. The time you want to buy precious metals is usually when everything else is looking so good, and precious metals, on the other hand, look like, who wants to do that? But I don't recommend investing in precious metals to begin with. So already this looks like he is telling the truth. But what bothers me, though, is that even though he invested $30,000 into silver, he invested $70,000 into stocks, and in one of the best bull markets of our entire history, has not managed to make any profits from those stocks whatsoever. You would think anything you invested in back in 2012, for the most part, should be up. And he managed to lose money during that. So right off the bat, this is one of those stories, it gets you because you can't help but feel for the guy. I mean, all things considered, he was handed $100,000. Everyone would be ecstatic, but when you see two big deviations, it's hard not to compare yourself to your twin brother, who now has 10 million bucks of Bitcoin, and you have 1/100th of that. It's hard not to look at that and just feel bad in comparison. What do they say? Comparison is the thief of all joy. And when it comes to this, it's hard not to compare yourself to your twin brother like that. So let's read now some of the comments on this and see what they have to say. We got this comment by Young Fire Investor, who I see his comments all the time on Reddit. You're not going to want to read this, but if your entire net worth is less than $100,000 after being given $100,000 in 2013, your problem isn't that you didn't invest in Bitcoin. My only advice here is that you get your ass to the gym and get in better shape than him physically, as you're probably not going to catch up financially. That is, unfortunately, the sad reality of this. I think unless Bitcoin just completely collapses into nothing, which realistically, it's probably not going to happen at this point. I don't think Bitcoin is ever going to see a price below like $1,000. I would be shocked if that happens. But the reality is the situation, you just got to accept it. His brother got such a big head start from a very lucky speculative bet that you can't catch up to him at this point. He's so far ahead that really no matter what you do, unless you get insanely lucky with like scratch-off tickets or something nutty, you're probably not going to catch up. So that's something, it's a tough pill to swallow, but you just got to go ahead and do it. The other thought that I have with this, before going and reading more of the comments, because these comments do get juicy, is that his brother took a very speculative decision in something that back then, very few people were looking at Bitcoin back then and being like, yeah, this is going to be worth $20,000 in 7 years from now. Very few people. His brother also has a very determined willpower not to sell it, because you would think when that goes up to $1,000, I remember when that happened, and everyone is like, this is a bubble, we should sell it, myself included. I'm like, it makes no sense. And then sure enough, it hit 1,000 and crashed back down. Everyone's like, yeah, I know that was crazy. And then it went back up. And then when it hit $10,000, you would think his brother would sell at that point, but his brother's like, no. The determination it takes to see your investment go up that much and just hold out and not sell it takes a lot of courage. His brother took such a big risk that this post is almost like him saying, I should have bought a lottery ticket. If I had just gambled it all, I would have had all the wealth my brother has, in a sense. Something like this could have gone either direction, and very much his brother could have lost all the money. So let's keep reading the comments. Oh man, see, this is the thing. This is sometimes why you don't ask for advice on Reddit, because I do think this post was coming from the right place. I mean, we could all argue, hey, he's got $100,000 just handed to him. He's very lucky to have that. He's more fortunate than most people out there to have $100,000 just, boop, there you go, given to you. But that doesn't negate the struggle that he's having comparing himself to his twin brother. So I don't think it's worth dismissing those concerns. But then we get this post here. In his will, he left my twin brother and I $100,000 each. Any advice on how to cope? Jeez. Plus he had his brother give him 18,000 Bitcoin. So yeah, geez. See, here's a really good response when it comes to that. Pretty much every single day of your life, you miss out on an investment opportunity that could make you millions. You and everyone else is constantly missing these life-changing opportunities. Your brother got extremely lucky, you only got very lucky. You received $100,000 for nothing in return. It's easy to mourn the what if, but I think you'd be much happier if you were just grateful for what you got, which is very true. We can all look back. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I see Meet Kevin investing millions of dollars into Tesla. He's been buying Tesla consistently for the last like 3 years at this point. From when it was like $150 a share pre-split to when it was $1,000 a share, and we were all thinking he's crazy. He just keeps plowing millions of dollars into Tesla, and he's made like $4 million in the last year and a half on just Tesla stock. I see that and I'm like, oh, darn, I wish I invested all in Tesla. If I had just invested all that money in Tesla. But look at me, I've invested over $100,000 in the stock when it was like very, very low, and done really well, but not as well as Kevin. It's fine, it happens. Every day there's new opportunities like that. Like, look at Palantir, look at that. oh, if only I had bought options on that, I would have so much money. There's always opportunities out there, and you can always look back and focus on the ones that you missed. But the thing is, all of those are very risky. All of those you only know in hindsight, and in the moment they could go either way. So you take a risk, and sometimes those risks pay off. Sometimes they don't. It's just par for the course, and it's up to you to really just see the big picture and be like, okay, this is fine. I'll learn from it. How can I continue forward? I don't like some of these comments. If you are depressed about not making millions, get over it. $100,000 even today solves a bunch of problems, which they're not wrong if they look at it from that perspective, but I just think it's hard to see a twin brother go in two totally different directions, and as a twin, and I'm not even a twin, but if I had a twin brother like that, and you see that big deviation and it's constantly brought up nonstop, that's some stuff you really ideally go to therapy for, and you just work through it. And I think just being totally upfront about how you feel, this is his first step in getting through this. I really do. And yeah, we got a lot of people here questioning his stock market returns. We got this one by Fig Building. What? Your problem was not in the silver investment, flat as it is, or missing out on Bitcoin. You were investing in stocks in the longest bull market ever. What happened there? Very true. I'm so curious what he invested in or how he was investing that he lost money during an amazing bull market. Then we got this one, them checks. People will believe anything on the internet. The problem with this is that this doesn't seem like a story you would make up, and then now he's removed the post. Most likely, he reached out genuinely wanting advice on how to get over this. And then he was critiqued and criticized and beaten down by Reddit, who none of these people were handed $100,000. So for them in comparison, it seems like he's complaining and he's some spoiled kid. I see this as someone genuinely reaching out, asking for advice, and then getting hammered on the internet and then being like, what did I do? Let me delete this so no one sees it. But at the end of this, I'll offer my own advice. Because as much as I love criticizing people on YouTube, I want to offer genuine helpful advice. At the end of the day, that's what I'm all about. Finally, someone said therapy would help, which so far, this is really one of the only answers so far in this entire thread that I wholeheartedly agree with. And then we got one more comment here that I really like, okay, from Blue River 4. Please realize this is 100% something you have and really never had any control over. Bitcoin could have easily crashed to zero and your brother been worth nothing. So that I completely agree with. And my advice when it comes to something like this is to seek out therapy. I really think that these are such deep-rooted issues of just feeling insecure and not as good as your twin brother that's going to eat away at you. And I think those feelings will self-sabotage almost anything you do because you're going into it with a feeling like, I have something to prove, I have to be better than my brother, I have to do this so I look as good in comparison, and that's going to ruin anything that you're doing because you're always doing it with the thought of, I have to be as good or better than my brother. That needs to be completely removed from your vocabulary, and from there, you just have to operate independently from anyone else. I know it's really hard to see your brother going off and doing crazy stuff being worth a lot of money, but at the end of the day, that was a big risk that took off. You had the choice to do that, you didn't. He had the choice to do that, he did. Could have worked out horribly for him, it didn't. Your stocks could have worked really well. I don't know what happened there. That I think that's something you got to look at. But first and foremost, I would invest some of that money in a good therapist and just work through these issues because probably it's going to take you a little while to come out of this okay and fully accept the situation for what it is, not feel bad about it, encourage your brother, have a great relationship with him as your twin. I think that's really important. And I think once you're able to mend these issues and look back and just laugh at it, you're going to be doing really well. That's my thoughts. That's this story. It's really interesting. So thank you so much for sharing it. I wish you didn't remove it, but I see how you got so many crazy comments on this. It's hard not to remove it. So I get it. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to destroy the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post it pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there, as on my podcast, The Iced Coffee Hour. New episodes being posted every single Sunday. And lastly, if you want 4 free stocks, use the link down below in the description, and Webull is going to be giving you 4 free stocks when you deposit $100 in the platform, with those stocks potentially worth all the way up to $1,600. So if you want those stocks, use the link down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.